Is NASA lying to us?
Remember that story that we did just this week about the ice caps, in fact, growing?
Oh, here you go, more. Whoa.
What is happening? Antarctica is gaining ice?
Right,
What?
This is crazy. It's so
Global
good.
warming?
Right.
How?
The world's polar ice caps are shrinking.
Hey everyone,
little
thanks
by
for tuning into
little.
D News Today. I'm Trace. Commonly during these climate change, global warming conversations, people point at the horizon and shout, the polar ice caps are
The
melting.
media is ignoring that study.
Oh, all right.
Guess what? They're not. NASA says so. In fact, according to new research, Antarctica has gained so much ice, it's overbalanced for the ice that the continent has lost.
Holy cow.
From 1992 to 2001, the continent gained more ice than it lost to melting. 112 billion
The
tons
Arctic is
every
heating
year.
up twice as fast as the rest of the planet, with Greenland's glaciers receding particularly quickly.
So wait, if global warming is real, how come Antarctica's ice is thick?
Oh, this is great. Ouch! Oh my god.
Okay, so I apologize for the slightly clickbaity headline, but to be honest, whether or not scientists are lying to us
New
that's a
study
real
that
question.
came out stating that there's more ice on the ice caps.
This
than
process is
actually
speeding
melting.
up all by itself. Melting snow exposes ice underneath, which then absorbs the sun's rays and increases.
But did
the
anybody
warmth.
lie? No, internet buddies.
In fact, they're now hyping global warming even
This
more.
ice research is consistent with other papers
According
climatologists
to
have released.
Alethea Larson of the Media Research Center, she's reporting, like the nag of a dripping faucet, the liberal news media spent years warning about melting glaciers and ice caps
At the
because
opposite end of
global
the
warming.
Earth, 90% of the ice shelves on the Antarctic Peninsula are starting
In
to
2013,
disintegrate.
NASA's Earth Observatory announced Antarctic sea ice had set a new record. Another study said the
Here
same thing
comes
in
the water.
2012.
Uh-oh.
Media outlets predicted an ice-free Arctic.
There's more
time
sea
and
ice
again,
now than the 1981 to 2010 average
and
levels.
so far have been wrong.
I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. If the globe is warming, how can Antarctica
But with all
be
the
gaining
panic
ice?
about melting glaciers or sea ice or ice
Okay,
at the
so
poles,
don't believe the hype. Research still states unequivocally Antarctica is losing ice at a fantastic rate across most of the continent.
Ice melt is also being observed in mountain ranges like the Himalayas, Kilimanjaro, the
media
Alps and
have
Pyrenees.
reported. One would imagine good news about increasing ice would at least
Ice
get some
has
attention.
increased in East Antarctica and the interior of West Antarctica. But other parts of Antarctica are still melting.
Not from the broadcast networks anyway.
In the Andes, glaciers are retreating and risk disappearing altogether. Ocean levels
Continues,
are
in the
rising.
past year, they've ignored data showing increasing ice in Antarctica.
A lot.
Presu-
A lot.
Look at that. Ouch.
So let's be clear. Gaining sea ice at this point is actually bad. Yeah, you heard
Instead,
me.
they're
It's
choosing
bad.
to hype the melting Arctic ice
Well,
repeatedly.
there's this annual cycle of sea ice, melt and freeze, where the ice is at its lowest point in February and March and thickest in
Due to
September
the
and October.
combination of melting ice and warmer sea temperatures,
According to a new, not yet published paper from a NASA Goddard scientist brought to our attention by Discovery News writer
Probably
Patrick J.
because it did
Kiger,
not fit perfectly with their climate
global
agenda.
warming and climate change are actually increasing sea ice. See, melting glaciers have been depositing fresh water into the Southern Ocean. And if you think back to 7th grade science, which freezes
She
first.
continues. Between October of 2014 and November of 2015, NASA released two separate studies, both showing that ice in Antarctica is growing faster than it is
Salt
melting.
water for fresh water. Exactly.
as
fresh
warm
water
water
does.
has a greater volume than cold water.
Salt water has a much lower freezing point. It can get colder
In May
before it will
2015, she
freeze.
continues, Antarctic ice was at a record high level.
That will be all right.
This paper's conclusion is the top layer of water surrounding Antarctica has been diluted by the massive freshwater melt from the ice shelves, and therefore it freezes more easily today than in previous decades. This accounts for the increase in sea ice. The 2012 study found a 1.5% increase in sea ice accumulation
At the
over the
current
decade.
rate, it's predicted that by 2100, sea levels will rise between 26 centimeters
Yes,
and a
between
meter.
November 4th of 2014 and November 11th of 2015, the broadcast network's evening news shows never mentioned
And this
either
isn't the
study.
only paper that reaches that conclusion. According to a 2012 paper in Nature, which also predicted this effect, it is happening even more quickly in the real world than it did in their models,
I gotta,
which is even more troubling. In a few more years, the new author, James Hansen, said, this will of course be clearer because the sea ice will
During
continue
that
to
same
expand.
time, however, the broadcast network's evening news showed specifically, they mentioned melting ice in the Arctic 12 different
Islands
times.
in the Pacific or Indian Oceans like the Maldives will be
all right, you ready?
submerged.
All right, okay.
Even worse, however, is the overall ice trend is still more
But
melty than it
additional
is
stories
freezing.
on all three evening shows implied that melting was occurring in polar regions.
It's
she
melting
continued.
and freezing, and then melting, and
All
then
of those
freezing.
were on CBS Evening News, NBC Nightly News.
Youch!
Because of global warming or climate
Plus,
change.
salt water underneath the freshwater dilution is still warming thanks to the overall climate trend.
Can you believe that? Well, I mean, I guess I can believe it because the mainstream media has
Densely
an agenda.
populated low-lying coastal areas like Bangladesh, Vietnam, the Netherlands and the east coast of the United States are all
Their
under
agenda
threat.
is to lie to you outright.
NASA scientists are quick to say that it is very difficult to accurately measure all of these things because of snow levels sitting atop the ice and the constantly changing landscape of such a large area as the
So that-
continent of
because
Antarctica.
they're never going to go against the
The big learning from this, though, is that even though the UN announced in 2013 a 0.27 millimeter per year sea level rise across the Earth and blamed it on increasing sea ice,
who are paying their bills, who are giving them the talk.
All right, that was great.
Even Vladimir Putin has come out and stated that global warming is
there's
a hoax,
obviously more here than meets the eye.
is a fraud, and it is designed, and they're trying to use it to choke Russia
NOAA
and their
says,
productivity.
yes, the seas are rising. The thing is, now we aren't 100%
Now,
sure
even
why.
the Paris Climate Change Summit's coming up too. I mean, even the Pope
Which
is
is
talking
almost
about
more
it.
scary if you think about it. Moving forward, scientists know that they have to learn more about what is causing sea level rise
I got it.
because it might not just be ice melt
It is the
of
biggest
Antarctica.
hoax perpetrated on humanity that I've ever
The oceans
seen or
have
witnessed.
warmed about 0.1 Celsius over the last century, in the top 700 meters alone. And though that seems small, that's just an average.
So the media is complicit in the crimes
Something
against
so
humanity.
small over something as large as the ocean could completely change the topography, weather, and expected behavior of the single largest entity on Earth.
Look, if you think that New York or Miami are going to be underwater, like I said in my previous report, go ahead and get a boat and park it in front of your house. And right on the side of your boat. This is your global warming escape vehicle.
So, climate people, who I assume have already left this video huffing and hoeing, more sea ice doesn't mean no global warming.
All right? And then I want to see you wait for all the sea levels to rise so you can get inside
But in
that
fact,
boat.
more global
Because it's
warming.
never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
You're welcome. Sincerely, your friend.
That's the
Science.
lunacy of this whole fraud that's being perpetrated against you, you global warming.
How are you all feeling
pusher.
about this, though? Tell me down in the comments, and check out DiscoveryNews.com's piece on this as well. And if you're concerned about what would happen if all the ice in the world would melt,
You want to call me a climate denier? You want to label me something because it fits your agenda? for some
Julia
labeling?
assuages
Anyway,
your concerns over here. Or maybe she doesn't. You're going to have to watch the video.
I'm rambling. I'm mad. Go ahead, get your boat, climate
All the
changer,
ice in the Greenland ice sheet melts, global sea levels would rise by about
and
24
protect
feet.
yourself from the coming floodwaters in New York.
If all of
and
Antarctica melts, sea levels would rise by
All right.
200
Los
feet.
Angeles is going to be underwater. Be careful, everybody.
The
Get your
entire
boats.
eastern seaboard of the U.S. would be underwater, and Florida would vanish.
And it dawned on me where she got it from.
A lot.
All right, that's one of the best things I've seen.
The media is not going to tell you, though. Unbelievable. Leave your comments below on this one. Tell a share this video with your favorite climate denier. Would you please? Your favorite Democrat who thinks that we need to be prosecuted because we don't believe in their theory. please, please, I'm begging you, share this with your favorite climate hoaxer.
There's obviously more here than meets the eye.